The beta is dead. Long live the Minecraft preview. Wait, what? The Minecraft preview version 1.19.10 is out? So that can only mean one thing. Minecraft 1.19 is done and is officially slated for release on June the 7th, 2022. On the 25th of May 2022, Minecraft preview 1.19.10.20 was released, signaling the end of the 1.19.0 betas and previews, but bringing a whole bunch of bug fixes and changes to Minecraft Bedrock Edition. So let's get into it, starting with the Warden, who can now pass through lava and water and can no longer be pushed while emerging from the ground. It's also had some anger and chasing buffs, meaning it will lock onto targets that it roars at, and it will even get more angry for each attack. The Skulk sensor has also had a couple of tweaks, including being able to detect big drip leaf blocks changing states, correctly detecting varieties of dirt being tilled with a hoe, and it won't detect players equipping handheld items anymore. The Allay has been tweaked to prevent it from duplicating stackable items, and its pickup range has been reduced from 64 blocks to 32 blocks to match Java Edition, so it shouldn't go wandering off so far anymore looking for items. Back to the deep dark, the Skulk Vein will now drop as many items as its number of faces when mined with Silk Touch, and the Skulk Catalyst will spread Skulk blocks through mud and muddy mangrove roots when mobs die around it. The Skulk Shrieker also had some significant changes. It will now only scan for wardens in an area of 48 blocks instead of 96, and it will only apply the darkness effect to players who have a threat level of 3 or 4 now. Be careful what you're riding in the ancient cities, as it can now detect players riding any type of entity, and they will activate repeatedly when you're standing on them. Out of the dark and into the Mangrove Swamp, mangrove propagule growth will no longer be blocked by leaves. The mangrove log is now included in bonus chest loot tables, and villagers that spawn inside mangrove swamps will become swamp villagers. And Brick fans rejoice as clay now correctly generates in the mangrove swamps. Oh, and nether sprouts and fungi can now be placed on mud and muddy mangrove roots too. Additionally, frogs will now grow up from tadpoles into the correct variants in meadows, stony peak and deep dark biomes, and goats will drop their goat horns when ramming mangrove logs. In 1.19.10.20, touch controls got some love, but I'm not going to touch on that. If you're enjoying this video, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future update videos. What I will touch on, however, are the numerous vanilla parity changes, bringing Bedrock Edition further in line with Java Edition. Mobs equipping armor now produces sounds, campfires and lecterns can support hanging blocks, breaking chest boats and chest minecarts upsets nearby piglins, and liquids will look a little bit better when next to diagonally adjacent blocks. Nether portals have also been tweaked to put the player in the correct place when traveling through, rather than always being snapped to one corner or another, which might have quite an effect on certain farms and will hopefully prevent certain entities suffocating as they pass through. Spectator Mode has seen some more love too. Players in Spectator Mode will no longer drown or suffocate in blocks, they can't be pushed by pistons, and they will no longer have to sleep at night for other players to pass the night. Moving around in Spectator Mode no longer affects the player's hunger levels, and spectators will no longer make sounds like footsteps or climbing. The phantoms aren't happy though, as spectators are no longer affected by insomnia, meaning that they won't trigger phantoms to spawn. And the spectators look different now too. Players in Spectator Mode will only have their heads render, and they will be semi-transparent, which is more like what you'd see in Java Edition. Still, with Spectator Mode, projectiles like arrows and tridents will pass through spectators, meaning they can't fly in the way during your PvP battles. Moving on from Spectator Mode, the wandering trader llamas have been turned into their own mob. They no longer share the same files as normal llamas, which means they now have their own spawn egg, and they will have the correct name displayed when opening their inventories. However, they do seem to be completely invisible. There's a whole bunch of other bug fixes and tweaks, but one in particular has caught my attention, and that is that failed slime spawn attempts no longer reduce the rates of other mobs spawning, meaning you'll probably see more than just slime spawning around the dark areas of your world now, and hopefully a few less slimes. As usual, there's so much more to this changelog than I've got time to go through, so hit the link below to check it out in full, or if you'd like to see even more information about what's changed, head over to FoxyNoTail.com for a deep dive into all the things that got tweaked this update. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to check this one out.